Well, here I am. Hello and God bless. It's time to talk about the first Job Corps I went to. Because I told you all I was going to start talking about my Job Corps that I went to. The first one was on the West Coast. It was in the Northwest. I'm not really sure about the laws of giving names and of places, so I'm not going to give the name of it because I really don't know the laws about that, and I don't want to be sued. You know, when people get upset because you use their exact name. So I'm not going to give the name of this Job Corps, but I'll just give the area where it was at. It was on the Northwest Coast, and it was a small center. It wasn't very big, and it was a really nice place. The reason why I went to Job Corps for the first time, because I was only about, I believe I was 18, I think I was 19 years old, but I was living on my own for the first time, and I was poor, and I wasn't able to get a job, and I was about to be homeless, and my life, because I was in California at the time, I come from California, and so I just, out of desperation, I found out about Job Corps, and I got in contact with these recruiters that recruit people for Job Corps, and kids and young adults, you know, kids, as long as you're age 16. I don't know how the laws are, but at least if you're 16 through 24, I believe that's the Job Corps age. But they recruited me, and they showed me, you know, different jobs I could trade for, and I decided to pick culinary arts, and they found a center that was further up on the Northwest Coast, further away from California, so I would be going out of state. And I went up to a Job Corps center up in the Northwest Coast, very beautiful place, a lot of forest, a lot of mountains, just beautiful. And, you know, and I was young, I was just desperate to train for a job, I needed a GED, and so I went to this Job Corps on the Northwest Coast. And it was a pretty nice center. At first, I didn't like Job Corps because they had all these rules. You know how Job Corps is. Well, back then, you know, in the early 2000s, I was rebellious, and I was young, and at first I did not like Job Corps, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to stay there. And I've had my issues and problems, but the staff proved that, despite the way I was, they were motivated to help me. They didn't just kick me out. They didn't just, well, we're just going to write you up and just punish you. No, they counseled me, and they were there for me, and they supported me, and I became motivated, and I started to train. I did really well. I completed my trade in culinary arts. I was having such a great time. I got my GED, which was not easy because I've never been good at math, and I never finished high school, so the GED classes were not very easy, but I got through it because for some odd reason at this particular Job Corps at the time, my first Job Corps on the Northwest Coast, they were very nice people. They're like down-to-earth people, and it was more about helping young people succeed. It was all about helping people train to get that dream job and dream career, and they were really awesome with me, and I just think that at that time, you know, Job Corps really was going well. They had it going for them, at least at this center that I was at. Now, I don't know about the other centers at that time, but at least this one Job Corps I went to was very unique, and it was they had a lot of nice staff. I mean, they cared about you, and they really worked with you, and they were very merciful, and, you know, and there was a time when I got really sick, and I wasn't able to do detail, which is chores in the dorm. You know, when you clean up the dorm, you know, they have detail. And the one stupid dorm leader, another student, was trying to get on my case, and I had a fever, and the staff, they stood up for me, and I had a high fever, and they were nice enough. They took me to the doctor, and they took care of me, and the staff, you know, were there for me, even when I was rebellious. They weren't just all about punishment. There's one thing I could say about this Job Corps at the time. They were not all about, we're going to write you up, and we're going to put you on restriction, and you know how some Job Corps are. They're like that. Unfortunately, this Job Corps wasn't like that. They were very nice people. they took care of me, and just because how caring they are, just that was enough to motivate me, and I did really well. Surprisingly, I did really well in culinary arts. I loved it. I got to learn how to make different kinds of foods, and I was motivated. I loved what I was doing, and despite my issues with, I have a learning disability, so going through the GED part of it was not easy, but they got me through it. They worked with me. They didn't give up on me. They didn't just cast me away. And then, eventually, the recruiters from the military started to visit the Job Corps, and of course, this is going to be a whole nother playlist, another story, but that's when I joined the Navy. The Navy recruiter recruited me from that Job Corps. But the Navy is going to be a whole nother story, a whole nother playlist. But anyways, the fact of the matter is this Job Corps on the Northwest Coast, they were very nice people. And, I want to say the name of this Job Corps Center, but I don't know if they would like that or not, so I won't say the name of the Job Corps, but it's on the Northwest Coast. It's north from California. It's not in California. It's, I'll just give you the state. It was in Oregon. It was on the Northwest Coast in Oregon somewhere. And it was a really nice little place, They had a lot of little nice communities, a lot of little towns. It wasn't in a big city. Just a nice little coastal towns, little fisherman towns, and nice little places that kind of reminded me of the good old days, how life in California was when I was a little kid before it got all polluted and corrupted down there in California. But I really loved it, and it was like I ended up succeeding. I ended up graduating. I graduated from my trade in culinary arts. I got my GED. I completed the program, and I made a lot of good friends. I'm still in contact with some of my friends from that Job Corps, by the way. We still are friends, and we still talk to each other. But anyways, and then, I was so motivated for life, and that's when I decided to join the Navy. But I'm talking about the Navy later. The Navy is not going to be, this is not about the Navy. But anyways, that's basically my first Job Corps. It was like a very good place. It was a very caring place, and I'm not sure if they're that same way anymore. I don't know if that Job Corps Center is still open or not. I haven't done any research to check on that program, that particular center, but it was a perfect Job Corps. I guess I can't call it perfect. There's nothing perfect in the world. Only Jesus Christ in heaven is perfect, but this Job Corps was the way that all Job Corps should be and should have been. This is the model Job Corps of how Job Corps should be. It should be all about caring about the young people. A lot of young people that go to Job Corps, they come from the ghettos, they come from the streets, they come from really hard backgrounds. And Job Corps is supposed to be understanding and caring and help these young people. And they should have been like this Job Corps I went to, the first one. And they should have stayed that way. And I think that if Job Corps would have just stayed that way, and they would have taken that example and used it in all the centers all around the United States, I think there'd be a lot more success stories coming out of Job Corps instead of all this bad rap that Job Corps is getting. Job Corps is getting a lot of bad rap. And I can tell you why, because the second Job Corps I went to, which is going to be in a whole separate video, now that's a whole different ball game, a whole different story. But anyways, basically, that's what Job Corps should be about. Just like this Job Corps I was just telling you about. It should be a very loving, understanding place. They need to care about the young people. They need to help the young people. Because people are having a hard time. People are hurting really bad, especially young people, the younger generation, the generation that we expect to go to work and pay into Social Security. We need to help young people do that. We need to help them instead of just kicking them out and leaving them on the street. You wonder why a lot of young people are getting on Social Security? Because they can't find a job. Young people should be paying into Social Security, but because the programs are not as helpful as they once were. Like the Job Corps I went to in the early 2000s, a lot of young people are just desperate and they're hurting. So I just want you all to know that my opinion of the Job Corps should be is based on the first one I went to. A caring, loving place where the staff cared about you. They cared about your well-being. They cared about your life. They cared about your future. And they didn't just write you up and throw the book at you just because you break a few rules. I mean, yeah, if you broke serious rules, then yeah, the first Job Corps, they did have rules, and they did enforce them. But just because someone has a rebellious attitude or just having a bad day, the staff would work with you. They wouldn't just, oh, we're going to write you up and we're going to put you on restriction, and you know, they weren't like that. They were more willing to help you. I mean, unless you broke a serious rule, then that's different. Like if you beat somebody up, or you did drugs, or you got caught, you know, basically having sex with someone on the center, then obviously, yes, they would, unfortunately, would have to enforce the rules. But just for little matters, the staff would be willing to work with you. And even those that did break major rules, they tried to keep people and help them. Even though they may have been on restriction for a good while, but they try to help them. They put them through counseling. And they just, there was more graduations going on than, it was rare when someone got kicked out. Only people got kicked out like one person out of every few months. It was very rare. Only maybe one person. Or once in a while, someone would just decide to go AWOL and not come back. But it was really rare. Because this Job Corps is more like a family. They treat you like a family. They treat you like they care. So that's what my opinion of a Job Corps should be. Because of this first one I went to. Now, I hope you all are blessed today, and I'll come back and share with you my story about the second Job Corps, which is, I'm gonna warn you now, it's not gonna be very good, but I gotta be truthful and gotta be honest. So, anyways, I hope you all have a blessed day, and I hope this video helps. I hope this video touches someone in a positive way, and maybe if some Job Corps staff are watching this right now, I hope you can take this back to your centers, and especially if you're one of the Job Corps directors, maybe this video can help you, and I hope it does, and I pray it blesses you, because come on, we got to help the younger generation. And now that I'm in my 30s, so I'm getting up there, and I have my own problems and disabilities. So hey, you know, the younger people that are going to be paying into Social Security, we don't have much time left, but we got to at least try to make things right, because if we ruin the younger generation, then forget it. This whole economy is going to fail. And this country's going to fall apart, which is very close to doing so. That's why I'm trying to put these videos out. I'm trying to warn people. Let's get back to the good old-fashioned, good old Job Corps days, when it was all about caring about young people and helping them succeed, instead of punishing them and restricting them and making them want to go AWOL and not get a job. So, I hope this video finds you all well, and I hope it blesses you all. And until I come back again with another video, take care, and God bless.